Hi everyone, welcome back to my garden. Today we are going to be doing something that is really exciting. It's sad because this beautiful bird's nest Sansevieria was really damaged by all the rain we had in December. But we are going to go ahead and take it out of the pot and inspect it and get it back to a state where you can't even tell that it's damaged. So I am going to bring you along and let's do this. Unfortunately, this is on the other side of my garden and I kind of forgot that this one was in this pot. This is how awesome these plants are. And unfortunately, the rain, it got a lot of moisture, and this is what happens. You get those ugly, rotting spots and it's like some type of a leaf fungus that comes out on the Sansevierias when they get too much moisture. But as you will see, we will go ahead and fix the situation. And here you're looking at the mama and the sister, and I have several of these in different pots, all from one plant, from one little plant. All right, let's get going here. We are going to put on our gloves, and as you can see, I have these already. I took them out of that pot, which is a huge ceramic pot that my daughter made. Um, and just we're gonna go ahead and just divide them up and start one at a time. Okay, as you can see, several spots. Don't know where to start, but I'm gonna start with this one. And look at that leaf. That's so sad. So sad, but well, there's nothing else to do but to get rid of those leaves. And like they say, do not try to propagate those that are too damaged or that have that fungus on them, because you don't want to get it on your other plants. We're going to take the opportunity to clean those centers, inspect those roots. And the good part is that a lot of these already have a little piece of rhizome. So that's great, which means that all these have potential to throw off pups. And believe it or not, when you clean them and inspect them, it's a good time to check those centers. Look at that. Oof. That center is gone. So we're going to cut this one up for parts. Like I said, those bottom ones have a lot of rot, so I'm not even going to try. And I'm going to do an experiment here. I've never actually propagated Sansevieria from the leaves. So we're going to cut those tips off. Any of these damaged leaves that are not going to be left on the actual plant, I'm going to take them, and instead of cutting ugly little stumps, I'm just going to take the tips. If I can get about at least 5-6 inches, I'm going to go ahead and try to use those little tips to plant them and propagate them, and that way you don't have all these ugly little stumps and then a beautiful little leaf coming out. You have actually a leaf that has a little tip, and I don't think it's going to look terrible. If you put them all together, you'll have an awesome plant. So we're going to try that for a change as far as propagating. All right, so here I am just cleaning up, removing those outer leaves, because unfortunately a lot of those were damaged. And well, here we're going to go ahead and cut, and I like to cut diagonal, just like that. It really camouflages any damage if you have kind of like some type of a tip. I've tried where you can leave like a little triangle at the top, but you can really tell that that leaf doesn't go with the other leaves. And when you cut them like this at an angle, it kind of, your eye is fooled, and it kind of looks even like kind of cool, actually. So here I am going to divide these, and so satisfying to just crunch those rhizomes. Just make sure that every time when you separate them like this, a lot of people use scissors, but they're so easy to just, just break apart. And make sure that you have a little bit of roots. And yep, here we have some more damage, and I'm not even going to try to save this one. Even though it has root, it's damaged, so we'll use it for our propagation pile here. Look at that. One interesting fact about these is a lot of times they say that if you do try to start a plant off in this way by cutting the plant, that it will revert back to its original form. For example, it won't have any type of mutation that other plants, that the mother plant has that you cut it off of, which is very interesting. And I really want to test that theory. So yeah, I'm going to be doing this with several of my plants and see what happens here. And here I'm taking just a little skewer, a little stick, and cleaning off that center because again, that is how they rot. If they get a lot of moisture in there, if they get leaves, if they get dirt, and the moisture stays in the center, they just tend to rot. So always it's best to water these from the bottom. Try not to get the water on the leaves, but obviously if they're outside and it rains, the water's going to be everywhere. But again, drainage is very important. But like in December, it rained. It never rains here in Southern California, like the song says. But when it does, I mean, last year it rained for a whole week, every day, and that was very unusual for us here. And so yeah, these plants, I knew that I was gonna have some casualties, and I did. But it happens, and these Sansevierias, again, these are so beautiful, so wonderful that you can play beauty salon with them and cut them and separate them, and they will reproduce, and they will thrive once you take care of them and groom them and clean them. You will be able to save them. The key is just to keep an eye on them, and if the first sign of rot or droopiness or something, the color change that you see, you go out there and try to investigate and see what's going on with your plant. As you see, the roots here on this one too, they're very orange. And this is how the Sansevieria roots are. So don't be alarmed. Sometimes when they're super, super stressed, or even like in potted plants, when you buy them at the store, sometimes they'll be very root bound, and you'll see a lot of these red roots. Okay, here I am putting a screen on that big old drainage hole, which is awesome. And again, I just pot these Sansevierias in soil, just garden soil, as long as it has good drainage, some perlite, and sand. If you can add sand to this mix, that would be great. But in this case, I just, left it like this. And I know that all these plants are going to be fine because all these pots have good drainage. Here I am just sticking all these little spear tips in the soil and hoping that they root. I'm going to go ahead and put these here outside, but under one of my garden beds, and so away from the sun, but in this environment. And I'm not going to water them for about a week or 2 weeks. I'll start giving them a little bit of water, but we'll see how they do. Okay, here I bunched up all the plants, all those sections of Sansevieria that I took out that were damaged. I just lumped them together kind of like a bouquet, made sure that the formation looks great, and they just look like one big beautiful plant. And I'm just, trying to center them and pack that dirt around the roots, and just make sure that it is nice and compacted down there, so that the roots feel a little bit root bound or dense, because they like to be kind of tightly wound, or if they're too loose, there's too much air. So you want to make sure that your plants have a good solid kind of anchoring source. And here's the baby. I'm planting that little baby in there, even though it is separate. I think it'll thrive. And I won't be putting, since I cut this one in several places, several leaves that were damaged and, you know, just broke it apart. I won't be putting it in sun. I wouldn't anyhow because these Sansevierias don't like direct sun. Morning sun, if they get some, is fine, especially if they're in the ground. But if they're in pots, they rather have very little direct sunlight. Filtered sunlight is way better. Bright light is fantastic. They will tolerate very little light, but they won't thrive. So just remember, even though these are advertised like if they don't like light or they can tolerate darkness, they won't thrive. They won't die right away, but they won't thrive. And we want them to thrive because look at all these beautiful plants that I've managed to have. And I have had these outside, not really realizing that I could have them inside. And lately I've just been on a journey of gathering Sansevierias for my indoor space, and I just love it. So if you want to check out a bunch of videos that I've posted, and I'm going to be posting regarding Sansevierias inside, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell button, and you'll get notified, or scroll through my playlists, through my channel, and there's tons of videos on Sansevierias and other types of succulents and cacti. Wow. Okay, so look at this beauty. Oh, I'm so excited. I hope I have some propagating in water because I'm trying both experiments, and I'll go ahead and do a video on these to see how they do. But apparently it takes a while. I don't know, like 2-3 months to get roots, a good amount of roots where you can transplant these. So we'll see what works best, if the water or the actual soil technique. Either way, these plants are so awesome that separating them from the rhizomes like I did, you can make many, many plants. So the key is to know how to keep them alive. And look how gorgeous. How gorgeous. This is that ugly, rotten plant. I mean, obviously it's not as big because I did remove a lot of the leaves, a lot of the damage. But look how healthy and gorgeous it looks. And hardly tell that I cut a bunch of leaves here. They're beautiful. Look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And again, this bird's nest, trifasciata. This is the one I love. I do love the long ones, the Laurentii, but this one, the bird's nest, is the one that I love because it's compact, it's smaller, and I think the green is just gorgeous. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, for subscribing, and welcome to all the new subscribers. I'll leave you here with my beautiful little bulbs that I planted. They are blooming and they smell great. And look at my beautiful garden. It is getting to that point where it's just gorgeous. I just sigh every time I walk outside and look at all the beautiful plants and the growth. And there's so much to do in the garden. So I hope you guys will join me by subscribing and hitting that bell button. Leave me a little heart or a comment if you'd like. And I wish you health and happiness wherever you may be. All right, guys, talk to you later.